All right, everyone, this is Mrs. Robinson in room N3. Hope you're all doing well. This is Unit 2, Day 6. We are talking about powers, the exponents. But first, let's talk about these two review questions. So we'll remember what I is, what does I mean, what does I squared mean, and what does I to the third mean? That can kind of help us out with answering these questions. So I to the first is I to the second is -1, and I to the third is -I. So that can kind of help us out when we're looking at these questions. So we're going to need to distribute to the first one, distribute to the second one, and then we will combine like terms. So we have 40I plus 4I squared minus 12 plus 18I. Okay, so we can combine like terms. So how many i's do I have? I have 48 i's. I'm going to bring down the constant. And then I need to look at this 4i squared. Okay, so I can translate that. So if I have 4i squared, that technically means I have 4 times -1. So that would be -4, which then I would combine with -12. So my answer would be B. Okay, for number 2, what that means to the squared is that I have 2 of them. So you'll either FOIL or you can use the box method if you prefer that. Multiply these together, combine like terms, and see what you get. Pause the video and check back. So I got A, number 2A. All right, now let's go on to some review of powers. So let's review some powers and bases and exponents and what all that means. So the base of number 1 would be 3, and the exponent is to the 4th power. So what that technically means is that I have 4 3's. So because of the base of 3. So this answer would be 81. For number 2, what that means is I have 3 1/2. So then that would become 1/8. For number 3, we have 16. The negative is inside the parentheses. For number 4, that would be -125. When I have 3 negatives, that makes a negative. When I have 4 negatives, that makes a positive. Now, please be careful. Number 5 is separate. This is a negative times 6 squared. 6 squared is 36, and then there's a negative in front of there. That's why number 3 with the parentheses is different than number 5. Okay, let's talk about the first product of powers property, the first rule. So product of powers would be AM times AN. So how many of the base do I have? So what this means is that I'm adding the exponents. I'm seeing how many of that base do I have. So let's look at number 6 as an example. So I have 3 x's and I have 5 x's, so I have x to the 8. Again, adding the exponents. Now for number 7, there's an imaginary little 1 there. So this would be y to the 5th, 4 to the 5th, and x to the 3rd and y to the 4th. Okay, so let's go back to number 8. We are not multiplying the 4's together. It is not 64 to the 5th. No. We are adding how many 4's I have together. The 4 is actually the base. Number 9 was a trickster. They are not the same base. So then there's nothing to do for that problem. All right, I want you to try 10 through 13 on your own, see how you do, and then check back to see if you got the same answer for product of powers property. All right, check that you have the same answers. Number 10, a to the 6th, b to the 6th. 11, n to the 4th, m to the 2nd. Number 12, -9 to the 5th. Watch that I have parentheses around it. And number 13, adding those fractions, you should have gotten 4 halves, which reduces to 2x squared. All right, so here are more complex problems for you to try. So how we can get confused on exponents and the exponent rule is if we're trying to go too fast and do too many things at once. So let's look at these and see what we're actually talking about. So I'm going to do 14 through 17, and then I'm going to again have you try 18 through 21. All right, so I am a fan of color coding. So I have an 8 and a 4. And then I have the m to the 6th and m to the 2nd. So I need to try these out, and they are separate. So the 8 and the 4 are coefficients. So I'm actually going to multiply those together, which would be 32. And now I'm going to deal with my m's because it's m to the 6th and m to the 2nd. So that would be m to the 8th. So they're two separate parts. Coefficients I multiply, add the exponents. So number 15, a little different. 8 and 7 are the bases to those exponents, right? So I would add those together, 8 to the 9th. It says to leave an exponential form, so please don't make that into a hardcore answer of 8 to the 9th. Holy mama, that would be a big number. Okay, so knowing the difference between a coefficient and the actual power part. Okay, so now let's look at this next one. All right, I got 2/3 and I have 3/4. Multiply those together. And then I'm going to add the exponents together. So once it's reduced, you have 1/2 and then x to the 9th. All right, the last one together. All righty, we have the 4 and the -2, which is -8. And then I have the 1/3 and the 5/3. We are adding the exponents. So that's 6/3, which reduces to squared, m squared. So that should be our final answer. All right, try 18 through 21. See how you do. All right, so we're looking at these next ones. So 18a to the 3rd, b to squared. 19 -12, j to the 3rd, k to the 3rd. So j cubed and k cubed. All right, and 20 -10, a squared, b to the 4th, and c. So again, if it doesn't have a partner, it still needs to be part of the answer. And if it's just a b, that is b to the 1st power. 21 would be -2 to the 8th. Again, we're leaving it in exponential form. So that was a quick tutorial on day 6. Come back for day 7 where we're going to do more exponents. And I hope you have a great day.